Hello, welcome back to season 2 of the Midweek Pump with a new episode coming your way now.
Thank you for joining us. We're in a new space today. Enjoy the new environment and tune into the next episode. All right.
Yeah. Shall we begin? Yes. Sure. Oh, we don't have to clap here.
Yeah, let's just do it.
This is our thing.
Dave, wow, okay, all right. I like it, yeah.
Woo! Gets the energy up, you know?
The energy here. Woo. I feel like I'm at a Tony Robbins event.
Well, that is why we are called the Midweek Pump.
That's right.
And today is the midweek, so thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to another episode with the Midweek Pump.
Yeah.
Today we have a special guest tuning in with us all the way from Dubai. I want to introduce you this lovely gentleman. He is a diagnostics nutritionist, an entrepreneur, and a really great health educator, which is how I've come to discover this gentleman. I've been so inspired in the land of social media that he is every single day, encouraging everybody to really look at their health and nutrition. So we had to have him come on and speak about his world. So I want to introduce Mr. Dave Catudal. Welcome.
Thank you. You're beautiful.
Yeah, and I know like Ant mentioned that you're in Dubai right now. You're living in Dubai. I just wanted to make mention that you're here with us in my living room today. You're here cozy while we record over Zoom, and we're so happy to have you here.
In my hometown in Canada. Not necessarily my hometown, but you're in my home country of Canada.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So, Dave, you're originally from, is it Montreal?
Correct, yeah, Montreal.
So give us a little history of what had you go to Dubai.
Wow, there's a lot of stops in that journey. So I'm 39 now. I left Montreal when I was 24. And during those 15, actually, so yeah, I mean, for 15 years, I think you can pretty much consider it nomadic. I've never spent more than 5 years in one place. So I was in LA for about 3 years, straight from Montreal. And there I was working as a, health coach, mostly personal training, but got to work with some really interesting clients. Of course, being a cancer survivor myself, I was working with a lot of cancer patients, working with patients with compromised immune systems. So I think my personal training turned a lot more medical in California, which was really a great experience for me. And then I ended up moving to Bali, which was a really interesting. So what I love about your podcast is like you're all about personal development. And so the question you asked, like, how did I end up in Dubai? It was basically a journey of making mistakes and learning and growing and discovering how important it is to be continuously working on yourself. And that has led me to here in Dubai, where I can finally turn it around and help people on their journey, no matter where they are, because we're all on our journey, like we're all somewhere on this timeline. No one's done. And, myself included, I'm learning every day. Like you said, I'm sharing on Instagram every day. I'm actually learning every day from the new clients that come to me with the new questions, with the new perspectives. And so here I am in Dubai now with my nutrition supplement company about to launch in 4 weeks.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, really exciting. And yeah, we're here to educate. We have a big job here, and not only in the world, but in Dubai especially. We have a big job to turn people's mindsets from looking for the quick fix to committing to doing the work. And that's what we're really encouraging here. So yeah, here I am in Dubai 15 years after leaving Montreal, and still as much of a student as I was when I first left.
Right. And isn't that the truth? Personal development. You're always a student of that, right? Always.
Yeah.
So I want to jump a little bit back into, because I know you have a very unique story and a very inspiring story from, an early age, at a very young age, for a gentleman to go through something as cancer. And I want to hear a little bit how you, recovered from that and how you got into the world of health and nutrition.
Great question. So do you want the whole story? How long is this podcast?
Well, I think our audience is quite, a big fan of our long podcast. So we're going to take it as long as it goes.
All right. We're good. I'll make it quick, but I'll take you back on a timeline, because where anybody is on their journey, is always a reflection of the journey they've been on, right? And so we all have a beginning, and I've really come to realize that most of the shit, can I swear on your podcast, that we're working
Absolutely. You could
through.
be as real
Perfect.
as you want to be.
I love it. I love it. So at 39, I'm still realizing that a lot of the shit I've dealt with and still I'm working with to some degree is from the first several years of your life. You know, this is subconscious years when your limbic brain system hasn't fully developed and you're just an emotional sponge, just not understanding what you're feeling, but feeling it and being frustrated that you can't, quantify it or verbalize it. So when I was 10, my brother was 4 years old and he had leukemia. He was diagnosed with leukemia. We're at Disneyland where every kid's supposed to be having a good time. And he's like feeling like crap and asleep and just looking pale. We're in Florida. And so we took him into the hospital and the doctor was like, get him to a specialist right away. His white blood cell count was just nothing. So anyway, so he fought cancer for 5 years. He survived. He's got a great story. He's a celebrity trainer now living in Hollywood. He took over my business. So he took over my clients and grew it into something that I couldn't have even ever dreamed of. He's such a success story. But it's beautiful. So he really, but I mean, it was a rough 4 years fighting leukemia from age 4 to age 9. So I was age 10 to age 14. 3 years after he was considered cured, my father, healthiest man I've ever met in my life, never drank, never smoked in his life, took his lunch hours to ran, was built like a Spartan warrior. He was diagnosed with terminal stage 4, like lung cancer that metastasized to the brain. And it was crazy. He was given, I was 17 years old when he was diagnosed and he was given 4 months to live. Like watching the healthiest man get a diagnosis of you have 4 months to live is just,
that's scary. Very
couldn't my 17-year-old self couldn't figure that out. It couldn't compute, so I got into some self-destructive patterns very bad. I was already pretty much a shithead teen. Like from that no, I mean, look, from watching my brother be sick, from that fear, like, so I was young, right? So the fear that was in me already externalized when your hormones kick in, you're 14, you're 15, you're doing all the stuff you shouldn't be doing. But anyways, and then, my father gets sick at 17. He dies when I'm 17 and I'm just kind of go off onto a quite self-destructive path. Thankfully, that only lasted a little while. And then I got my life together from finding health. I found the gym. And the gym taught me self-discipline, which I did not have. And it taught me that you could change things about your health. You could change the way you look. You could change the way you feel. The way you move your body changes the way your neurotransmitters are firing. And it was basically like, I didn't realize until later, but I was depressed and I didn't realize it. And I used the gym as my antidepressant. And it was the most beautiful entry into discovering my passion for health myself, but also for teaching others. So I was a personal trainer at age 19. And
very early. Good.
Yeah, really early, really young, like 19 personal trainer, 20 like nutritionist, and really like loving it. Like I'm like, this is it.
Now, did you go into the gym knowing what you were doing, or did you have somebody sort of facilitate and like learn from?
Great question. And I'm glad you asked me that because I might have breezed through that. Yes, I was very fortunate to have you can call him a mentor. He was a bit of a wreck when it comes to his own personal life, but and he knows it. He knows who he is. But he loved the gym and he was using the gym so we were an energetic match. He was using the gym as his self-soothe antidepressant. And so we were a perfect team. It was like, you go in there, you lift heavy shit. Like it was just like mean and ugly. But it was really cathartic. It was this relief, it was just moving energy that you weren't able to move in
it was all pent up. Right.
Exactly. Really. It was this internal like blockage that moving the weights got things flowing, and it got the mind flowing too, of course. So he was my first mentor in the gym. He taught me discipline. He taught me you don't get gains for free. You don't get the results you want without working for it day in and day out. And so I'm really thankful for that, because that is part of the success equation is is the grind, you know, like it or not, as much as I love to manifest and as much as I love to, you know, to really let things go, I've also come to realize that you have to work for it. You know, you have to put in the time. There's just
Yeah,
no way
I
around
think
that.
I think too, like when people who are really into personal development, like the grind, really what that means is like that internal work you're doing of like constantly confronting yourself and like looking at what's not working in your life and like really deciding over and over to make that shift, right? And
Absolutely.
so when it comes, yeah, like when I get that definitely there's like a physical grind for you as well, because you are really into that fitness for sure, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to like the personal development and like where that has like started in your journey or where that like started to pivot things in your life, like can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. So, and that brings us to
Yeah,
the question you really asked was like, tell us
yeah,
about your cancer. And I went way off.
yeah. No, it's good. It's good.
I tend to do that. But so I had the struggle mentality. I had the grind for it mentality. And then at 23 years old, I got cancer. And me getting cancer at 23 wasn't a surprise to me. So I believe that I created the environment for cancer to thrive. And now that was when I was 23. Now working for over 15 years with cancer patients, I see a common thread. There's usually anger that hasn't been resolved, and there's high levels of stress, and you kind of you feel like you have a part of it. When you get cancer, you always have a part in it, and that taught me a little bit more about being gentle with yourself. That taught me. So I went from like being angry and being, you know, thinking that hard work is the only way to get out of this, and, you know, like push. Then I got sick and I realized, oh, okay, there is, your body can only take so much, you know. And if you don't deal with what's going on in the mind and in your heart, the pain, the suffering, whatever it is, it's gonna smash you, you know. So there's no running away from trauma. There's no, you can't outlift trauma, you know. You can't lift away and exercise away your childhood, the stories that you have, you know, all the emotions that you sucked up. You just can't run away from that. You have to consciously deal with it. So so that set me on a completely different path, and that's when I moved to Los Angeles, which quickly led to moving to Bali, where I went off the grid, like full on spiritual journey. I got into meditation at, you know, when I was 28, and got it, like really understood the healing power of the mind, and how the cause and effect, you know, how every thought has a physical reaction, every emotion has a chemical trigger, and cascading, and it was just so interesting to see that the mind and the body, of course, are not separate, but to see it on such an intimate level was good for me, of course, but also allows me to work with clients in a more compassionate way, because I can see an illness in a very different way. You know, we can trace it back to not, you know, necessarily what foods you're eating. It's more like, okay, what thoughts are you consuming? You know, what's going on up there? What's your thought content? Because it's equally important.
Yeah.
And I think this is such a great, valuable conversation that we're having, because I don't hear this enough being shared in regards to how to recover or heal with any diseases, or, you know, any cancers that people are, you know, dealing with. Is they don't look at the basis of the thoughts, the spirit. Not only just the physical, it's like, what are your thoughts in the spirit? Because like you
Yeah.
said, there's a perfect environment that creates that disease. So
Yeah.
thank you so much
Yeah.
for diving
Yeah.
into this in your journey.
Yeah, it's look, it's a heavy topic, and it's a confrontational topic for a lot of people, you know. So just I don't think I've ever told you this. We've only spoken briefly, but I didn't tell my family that I had cancer until years later. So because
Oh,
I
wow.
mean, my mother went through, you know, seeing my brother sick for 5 years.
Yeah.
She lost her husband to cancer. I didn't want to be the third person bringing in, okay, cancer again, guys. Sorry, family, you
Yeah.
know. So he was able to hide that.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, look, I think looking back now, I'm glad I did. But back to the topic of, if you tell someone that they gave themselves cancer, whoa, a lot of people.
Yeah, like,
it's a really hard pill to swallow.
That's like something that I wanted to bring up. Like, that's big of you to be able, like, to take responsibility like that and ownership, because it's like it is really the step in the healing if you are also in control of
taking the responsibility
of the host of it. Yeah, right. So that's really cool and definitely difficult, I'm sure, right?
So how do your clients responding to this when this is a conversation you need to have with them?
Yeah, it's like, I want to say it's 50-50, but it might even be more now, like 60-40 in favor of, yes, I completely acknowledge that I had, maybe not like I gave it to myself, but I had a hand in this. Like, my stress levels were a factor. I did have a lot of anger, and I knew, like, when you hear, there's a saying, like, like, oh, don't think that that's cancerous, like there's a reason we use that. Like, we at an intuitive level, we know that our thoughts can be toxic, and or they can grow and manifest into an illness. We know now that the immune system and psychology are closely linked. If you think negative thoughts, immediately you have more inflammation, you have suppressed immune system. If you have fear, if you have a lot of fear, you immediately have a suppressed immune system. Your immune system will send out a reaction saying, hey, we're under attack, let's fight something. And there's so much autoimmune right now, and there's so many different mysterious illnesses, and we can always now link them back to an internal environment that we have created on an emotional and a thought level. So when it comes to cancer, of course, it's one of the biggest illnesses that has touched almost everybody. I think we can all, either in our own families or in an extended family, we all know someone who's been affected by cancer. So it's rampant. And it's not being treated great. There are, of course, traditional pathways that treat, but there's I think there's beautiful emerging science that we understand that we can prevent and we can heal, at least partially naturally. Sometimes, I get it, the case is too advanced, you need drugs, you need the treatment. This is absolutely part of the process. I don't deny that. But there is a huge portion of people that, if they understood the power of their mind and the power of their thoughts and the power of how their emotional and mental state controls how well their body can fight something or not, then it completely changes the way we look at this disease.
Yeah. So powerful.
And I really love, some of the points that you just mentioned in regards to how much our negative thoughts can really create, a weak immune system. And that is very, very relevant to what we're all dealing with right now. Relevant. I know this is a topic that becomes so divided in conversation, right? I'm sure we're all having those conversations where it divides us to think, what side do you believe that? So what could you say, Dave, is the information that you want to share with people on how that is real? Like, how do you bring this to today's reality?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, right? Because whether it's in your health or in entrepreneurship or building your business, if we're not taking responsibility for our thoughts, and look, I'm not preaching, because I have, even in the past week, I've had to do a little internal audit and be like, Dave, where is this coming from? Like, what external environment am I saying, oh, this is bad, or this is, like, poor me, or this is happening, and where is this inside? Because it's all a projection, right? So what we see on the outside is what we're projecting from the inside. So whether we're looking at health, or whether we're looking at our success in life or fulfillment, the question always has to come back to what inside me is off. What inside me is projecting this outward. So if I'm not physically healthy, if I'm always like scratchy throat, or if I'm worried my immune system's not so strong, or like I'm the first one to get sick when cold season comes around, or where's the weakness inside you, or where's the trauma, where's the pain that's saying I'm suffering, and it needs to be addressed. So, I mean, it's vast though, but the first thing comes with the awareness of whatever is going on outside, whether it's coworkers that are stressing you out, money that's not coming in, or business that's not making the sales, or health that's not transforming or going in the direction you want it. The question is always like, what am I constantly thinking about? Where's my focus? And like, do I really understand the subconscious conscious balance? Because that really, we were talking earlier about Napoleon Hill's book, what is it? Not Conversation with the Devil?
Conversations with God.
Yeah, okay, but
No,
there's the
oh,
other.
sorry.
Oh, you're thinking
No,
Outwitting the Devil.
Yes.
Outwitting the Devil. Thank you.
Yes.
Outwitting the Devil. What I mean, like just looking at the 6 pillars, right, of what humans, like, you know, the devil was saying, like fear of failure, fear of being poor, fear of ill health, all of these things. And this book was written, what, I don't know, almost 100 years ago, I think in the 1930s.
It was like 1930s, early 40s. Yeah.
I mean, wow, profound, right? Because we're seeing all of this amplified now, you know, we're really seeing if you looked into that book right now and you see the 6 pillars, I remember 3 or 4 of them, but they're all so relevant, more relevant now in this time with the COVID time, with you know, I mean, with people not being able to visit their families or being stuck out of the country or worried about, like you said, what side are everyone's kind of picking sides now, like, are you for or against, you know, and like and it's really creating this polarity and this division, and yeah, it's really, it's making everybody feel a little bit either anxious or aggressive or feeling like now more than ever is a time to understand what's going on inside, because it's so distracting outside, right? It's so easy to be distracted or manipulated or you know, just persuade in one direction where it might not feel right to you, and if you just can go inwards, this is just the most important thing right now.
I love that.
Beautifully said.
Yeah, so good.
It is quite eerie, just to touch back on that book. It is quite eerie. A lot of things that were said in that conversation that are happening today.
Yeah.
And I, you know, encourage anybody else that's listening or tuning into this episode is go get the book, Outwitting the Devil, Napoleon Hill. Everything that he speaks about in that conversation is actually seen in today's world. And it's scary because, you know, it's depressing, you know, the mindset to have us be weaker. And it's unfortunately, we're kind of falling into it a bit. So you know, it's something to like, little light bulb, wake up.
Wake up, and that's the word, wake up and take your power back, take your health back, because you can't outsource it. You know, there's definitely no government or no program that's trying to get you healthier or that really has your best interest. It's just that we know so little about our own health that we're saying, well, I don't know, so they must know more than me. You know, that's the unfortunate part that we're at right now. So many people feel like I have no idea how to fix myself, but so someone must know better. That person must know better. And we're doubting ourselves. You know, we're really giving away this power, and that's what's heartbreaking, and that's what's hard to swallow now as a health coach, is watching people just say, well, I don't know, so I might as well do what they tell me. And that's really like, if we had just taught this in schools, you know, if we had just worked, if we had spent more time being our own practitioners, we would be able to think a little differently. We'd be like, oh, this doesn't make so much sense, you know, or maybe I should think a little bit deeper into this before, you know, making that choice.
For sure, you must get conflicted with this a lot, since people are choosing, you know, to give away that trust within themselves and their own body and what our natural bodies can really do with just what's being exploded out there, and not even looking at like the research or the resources of where this information is coming from. That's I'll say that is bothersome for me, is, you know, like take some time to really just consider what this information is and where it's coming from before I take it on myself. So I'm assuming, I take it, that that comes as a bit of a bothersome for you.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. That's a whole other conversation. We can have a part 2.
Part two.
Part 2.
Okay.
Uncentered version. But it's a huge topic, and we're seeing, like, the question you asked was like, it must be frustrating for you. Yes, it is definitely. Because not only am I seeing it with clients, but like with family too. You know, you have family on this side and then family on this side, and it's creating this tension, and it just feels so unnecessary, because it could be such a non-topic, you know, but it's just not. It's so fiery and it's so heated and it's so like polarized. I use that word again, but you're either this side or that side. And yeah, it is, because logic has been pretty thrown out the window. And as a health professional, what I what I worry about most is censorship, to be honest. Is what I worry about most is that the information that is available is not getting out to the people. And when it does, it gets, immediately shut down or fact checked, which don't even get me started on that. So yeah, it's an interesting times. We're in interesting times, and my tip to everybody is believe in yourself more and trust your body more. Your body is so smart. Your body. So one of my sayings when I had cancer was like, if my body can get me into this, my body can get me out of this.
Yeah,
Yes.
so good.
Well, I mean, and it's
Awesome.
because I didn't tell my family, right? So I didn't do chemo and I didn't do radiation. So because of that, I took a huge risk, obviously, because, we had one surgery, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to let my immune system fight whatever is left. And coming back is not a question. It was never gone out of my mind. I'm going to make my system so effing strong that nothing has a chance. And what's interesting is since then, I mean, again, repeat myself, but like I'm 39. I haven't had food poisoning in my life. And I lived in Southeast Asia. I lived in a treehouse in Brazil. I haven't like been sick, like vomited since 1999 when I drank too much tequila on like Y2K. That's 1999. I was still a shithead teen, but literally, like I look at my system now and I'm like, thank goodness. And this is what I'm trying to teach. I'm not trying to teach, some diet or I'm trying to teach this, what I achieved myself. And I'm saying, hey, do you know how good it feels? Like to not have to, cover myself up or worry about a virus or, I have a mask exemption. I haven't worn a mask since 2019. I've flown to multiple countries and I haven't got sick, right? I have a fortified immune system where it's just, it's just not gonna, if it does happen, it'll be a mild cold, but it's such a good feeling to be in, to trust your body so much that's what I'm trying to teach people is just when you take care of your body and your mind equally, it will take care of you. That's it.
I have this is so good. It's like I'm even hearing from when you started your journey and you made this shift of you decided to become committed to something rather than trying to have a quick fix, right? And how do you instill that in others, like people who don't have that natural commitment or motivation, especially when it comes to health? How do you instill that in others and teach that?
That you guys are asking a lot of $1 million questions.
Bam.
Yeah.
we don't even plan, Dave. We just show up and
it's just who we
just in the conversation.
It's just who we are too.
You guys are asking the right questions. So one of the ways that I've learned that the brain works, and this goes for everybody, dopamine. So again, I'm a little bit of a nerd, but dopamine is a neurotransmitter that everybody should know about so let's look back when I was a shithead teen, right? And we can all relate. Everybody was partly a shithead teen, right? 100%. So what does that mean? That means that you lacked responsibility and that you were probably taking a lot of chances and you were chasing dopamine. So what that means is, unnecessary risks and everything. But there's a certain amount of reward that comes with that, this feeling of ooh, this anticipatory, it's actually dopamine is more of a motivation hormone than a reward hormone. And the point is we experience dopamine when we have small victories. So I teach people to focus on small step progress. For me, it's goal. Way. Don't talk to me about the goal. Let's talk about progress. Where are you now? Where you're going to be in a year from now, irrelevant. Where are you going to be in a week? What destructive habits are you going to cut out that every week you're going to get a little bit more, you're going to reward yourself with I'm feeling more in charge of myself. I'm now more self-aware. We all have a fear of failure, right? Myself included, we all have built in us is this fear of failure. And so as soon as we bite off more than we can chew, we can't handle that. How can anybody be great at something after one or two times, or it takes a while, right? So if I'm teaching anyone that wants to make significant changes, whether it's in business or in health, it's always like, let's just focus on the smallest little bits of progress. Let's build up your reward system. Let's make you hungry for the next little victory. And that is the way that people see the best sustainable progress, is when they're hungry for the next little win. And that could be the smallest things. So celebrating the small things and like micro goals, I guess you can call them.
Yeah, that's so great, because it's like, you know, then you're in this constant state of like,
the dopamine.
yeah, you're like experiencing the victories. You're almost like wanting to continue improving or being in that commitment, because it's like you're feeling good, right? So I really get how that's a different context.
And that's as we've learned, you know, it's being in the sense of accomplishment, right?
Yeah,
accomplishment is just not getting that end big ideal goal. It's accomplishment in the journey of, you know, becoming or doing what you're doing.
Yeah, it's true.
Exactly.
Even that's it's why people are on masterminds, right? Like a lot of masterminds are set up like you're sharing your wins for the week or whatever. I'm on 2 a week, right? And some people come on, they're like, I don't have any wins this week. We're like, no, look for them, right?
They're there. Exactly.
We've got them. Yeah. So good.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I was just going to acknowledge you for, you know, instilling that as your method, is having them look at those small wins. I think that's such a healthy way to really keep people going on that balanced path.
Definitely. Yeah. So because it's like we talked about earlier, it's like, it's not going to end. Personal development is not something that you've done and then you're like, oh, I did it. I personally developed. Here I am, you know? It's, like,
it's evolving.
Check mark. No.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. So
no, but I mean, we're like in a constant state of change, right? Like everything else.
Exactly.
So, yeah. That's cool.
Awesome. Well, Dave, I'd love to know maybe some 3 highlight tips that you like to normally give your clients or you want to share here within regards to health and personal development.
Well, one of them is hydrate.
Okay.
Hydrate.
It's actually funny. So hydration is a big topic right now. Like in my world, hydration is a big topic. So I analyze blood. So when I'm analyzing blood nonstop, right? So I'm looking at what your body is telling me. I'm looking at what your kidney, what your liver, what your mind is telling me. And when anybody wants to feel better or you know, lose weight or rebalance their hormones, or if someone's complaining, you know, like I'm not sleeping well, and we're looking for all these complicated things usually, like and usually it's actually dehydration. So one of my tips, literally, and it might sound so simple, but most people were either drinking the wrong water and so what is the wrong water is like bottled water that is reverse osmosis. There's no minerals in it. You know, we need minerals. So one thing that I find is just most people are depleted in minerals, and that causes so many different issues in their body that it's just again, small victories, right? Like a lot of people want this huge solution and they want, okay, what advanced supplement or nootropic can I take? Or it's like water. Drink better water and drink more water. That's really a big thing. And put a pinch of salt in your water. Put a pinch of Himalayan salt in your water. Most people will feel so much better just from adding salt to the water and drinking more of it. It's the starting point for almost everyone.
So good. That's not the first time I've heard that too. The whole salt thing. No. Like we need salt, you know?
Yeah.
We really do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I would say, so have you guys done breath work?
Yes.
Yeah. This is like, so many people bring up this breath work. It's so big right now.
It's a common tip that we're having in our conversations.
It's like really
here.
trending, you know?
But it's so important, but it's undervalued, right?
Absolutely.
So undervalued.
Yeah.
It is. So again, hydration, okay, it's water. It's like we're 60% water. It's so simple. And breath work is also so simple. It's free. It's here. We don't have to join a gym for it. We don't have to hire a coach for it. It's yours. You own your breath and you're probably not controlling it properly. And that can result in so many different issues, including like anxiety. I've had 3 anxiety attacks in my life. I haven't had them for 5 years. And I love public speaking, and they've all happened during my public speaking, which is not the right combination. And it was a combination of too much caffeine and like allowing my heart rate and my breathing rate to get too fast. This triggers your brain to think that you're in danger, you're in sympathetic activation, and all of a sudden, all of your danger and fear hormones are dumping into your body, adrenaline and cortisol, and all of a sudden you have like a system shutdown. And if you had just breathed, this would have all been better. And the same thing goes for just general daily tension, like tension in the neck, or stress, or even feeling brain fog. A lot of it's just connected to your breath. So I would be irresponsible if I didn't bring that up, because, and yes, we've all heard it, it is trending, it's there's the great Wim Hof, who has finally made breathwork cool, because before him it wasn't cool. It just wasn't.
That's so funny.
It just wasn't.
I was like, that doesn't work. What is it about?
Yeah, exactly. But when you see Wim Hof, he's so passionate about it, and even if some of the science doesn't make sense, and by the way, it doesn't, it still works. Because it's taking conscious control of your breathing rhythm, and for the first time, most people have never even thought about it. We've been breathing for X amount of years, however old you are, you've been breathing for that many years, you've probably never once thought about it consciously. So breath work is one of the simple things that it's free, it's with us all the time. And if we're not doing it, we're definitely missing out on big results in the way we look and the way we feel.
Very good.
And the third one, I think I'm going to probably quote something from Neville Goddard again. Well, we talked about Napoleon Hill, but it's just a theme. And then I think this is like more relevant now than ever. It's the ancient wisdom, it's going back, way back. But understanding that everything around us is a reflection of what's going on in us. So doing the subconscious work, understanding, have you guys read the Kabbalion?
No. Oh, another one on my list.
Is that a good one, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love when people are so like taken back by a book. It's like, yes. Okay.
Yeah, no, this is wow. Like apparently it was written by I think the Egyptians, but like pre-Egyptian, like the Emerald Tablets, like really like it's 6 Hermetic principles basically on like the laws of the universe. And one of them is like so above, so below, like so within, so without. And I just think that because where we are right now, it's so easily to be distracted. It's so easy to be scared. It's so easy to be worried. It's so easy to be, we're outside. We're so far from being inside. And that's why like either Neville Goddard, just read something from Neville Goddard, like everything is you pushed out, or just start to dabble. It's a little scary at first, but start to dabble with the cause effect of what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and what you're experiencing around you. Because again, like health isn't that complicated. When all the information's out there, you can Google, best paleo diet, you'll find a world-class diet from a great coach, but what we're not finding great information on, or it's not mainstream, is really the taking responsibility for your inner world. So that's the best value I can give to people, is start doing that work. Forget the calories. You figure that out. You spend enough time on calories, forget the macros and the proteins and the carbs. Start to really work on the inner world. And that's when everything will change.
So good. Yeah. So do the inner work, the subconscious work. Amazing.
God. Yeah.
There's something else I want to ask for sure before we wrap up today.
Oh, I have another question. Okay, too. Cool. So we're not done.
Okay. Just making sure. Is yours like serious or fun?
Go for it. I'll let you go.
Okay. You had mentioned that you're never in the same place for more than 5 years. So I'm just wondering, like, what's next on your list? Yeah.
Oh.
I actually, my girlfriend's here. I'm just looking over at her. That's a fun question for us.
I think it can be fun though, right? Yeah. When you are living sort of that nomadic life, like that is fun.
Yeah. So fun. So I've known for a while that I love the ocean, right? And I've known for a while that I'm going to sail around the world. Now I've changed the world. Maybe I won't sail around the world. There's some areas I'm like, don't need to go there. But the next step is like boat. We're just gonna live on a boat, but we're actually gonna turn it into like a floating think tank. So the concept is.
Oh my God, I'm so excited right now.
Stop it.
What's happening? Okay.
Okay, so our brains are all connected.
Yeah, this is perfect.
I love it.
Continue.
Yeah. So to create, so the name of the boat is Blue Zone. Do you guys know about the Blue Zones?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So the areas in the world where the most people live to over 100 years old. I'm obsessed with those for obvious reasons. You know, my
Yeah.
father dies at age 45, and then I have a great aunt who's like 97 and she's been smoking since she was 18 and drinks like half a bottle of gin every day. So
Amazing.
like, yeah, I'm like,
Sign
whoa.
me up. Just kidding.
Oh, you guys. Yeah. So the point is
We'll just shift her to the blue zone though.
Yeah,
Laura,
okay.
go to the blue
Laura,
zone.
you and I are gonna party. I like that. I like Laura.
Yeah, 100%.
So no, the point of the boat is like incubate ideas when you're out in nature. Obviously, I don't know about you guys, but when I'm out in nature, like the ideas just stream, right? Like
You're in
it's
a flow, yeah.
yeah, you become like a
So many
conduit.
downloads.
Exactly. That's the word. So I figure like, you know, like having like just like good minds on the boat, like all converging to make the world a better place. You know, like part of my Instagram handle is like rising up for the next generation of healthy humans. We have better science than ever. We have more advancements. We have more money but we're sicker than ever, right? So something's not working.
Yeah.
And what is working is these blue zones. You see these people who, what are they not doing? They're not doing the GMOs. They're not importing food. They're not scrolling Instagram, you know, 5 hours a day. You know, they're getting the natural vitamin D. They're not lathering themselves in sunblock. It's just a different way of living, and there is some wisdom in there. It doesn't mean we all have to do that. So the boat Blue Zone is going to be onboarding, you know, brilliant minds who are here to do amazing things, and just incubate that and hope that radiates outwards.
Did you read my journal last year?
Wow. I can't wait to be
Like
the first and second person on your think tank. This is so cool.
I'm like, he read my journal because that project I was starting in 2019 had to shift because obviously travel in 2020 was not possible.
So cool.
So awesome.
All right.
Yeah,
We have
obviously.
something to talk about, you and I.
Yep. There's alignment, but so cool.
Awesome.
Wow.
Wow, what a dream. That's
Cool. So I know today, most currently, you know, you're a big advocate all over your channels and profiles. What really is your mission out of that?
Great question. I think I've watched my mission evolve a little bit, but what hasn't changed is just I want people to own their health. I want people to own their health because it's the best feeling in the world. Again, going back to like, I'm trying to teach what I've learned and what I've been able to feel and embody. And I want as many other people to feel that as possible. So it's a combination of what I like to call like health freedom. So health freedom to me is feeling just absolutely invincible, is like whatever's going on out there, you believe like my body's got my back, you know, like I got this. And that same thing goes for the mindset, you know, where I fought depression for years, which was self-medicated with less than ideal substances. Anxiety like hit me. They were fun, but they weren't ideal.
Temporary fun, temporary.
Yeah. And then the anxiety, you know, hit also because it was things bubbling up inside that just weren't dealt with. So when you mix health freedom, like physical health freedom, that is impossible without the emotional health freedom as well. So the emotional freedom is feeling like you're in love with yourself, you know, like I'm good with who I am, you know, always aspiring to be more, but really being glad to be you. I think that's one, like being able to say like, I'm so effing glad to be me. And I'm so thankful that my body's got my back. Those two things together, life is good.
That's true success, in my opinion.
Oh, big time.
You know, when you are so glad and grateful for who you are, it's like you've achieved life fulfillment. That's success.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it really, and it resonates outwards as well. Like I'm a, you know, relatively in this office where I am now, I'm a new entrepreneur. You know, we have CEOs who have built billion-dollar businesses, and it's inspiring and it's amazing. But it's when you have this health freedom and this emotional freedom, you feel like you're at an even playing field in a way where you can all like I can learn from him, he can learn from me, we can learn from
Yeah.
each other.
Well, yeah, because it's that like expression that becomes like outward in the world then, right? It's like who you are for others when you're that for yourself, right? That's what I'm hearing and what you're sharing. It's so good.
Exactly. 100%. Yeah.
Amazing. Beautifully said. All right, one last question, I'm sure, before we part ways here. How many cat naps do you take?
Oh, and do you know that I have cats?
I do. I think most of the world does too. But I love cat naps. So I just had to ask, how often do you take your cat naps?
That's a really good question. So I used to be a big napper. When I lived in Thailand, I was like big on napping, you know, like I wake up every day at 5:30. Every day I'm up at 5:30. My sleep. So that is something that I am militant about. In bed by 9:30, 10 latest, and up at 5:30. It's my cycle. I love it. It feels good. So that means that my napping is non-existent now, honestly, because it doesn't fit into my window and I don't need it. That being said, you know, it's like, I don't know, 7 p.m. Dubai time now. I'm like, I'm getting pretty tired. Like I'm hyped up because I'm talking, but if I wasn't doing this podcast with you, I'd be like, I'm done.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You're already starting to lay low for your evening.
Exactly. Yeah. Powering down. My serotonin's turning into melatonin, and my night hormones are starting to say, lay down.
Oh, beautiful. Good.
You're like, oh, he's such a nerd.
No, actually not at all. Yeah. I mean, if you got an inside scoop on Laura and I's schedule, we've lived pretty much the same routine. You know, we've done our 5 a.m. wake up calls with a community, and you know, we understand that same routine as well.
Yeah, so, for sure.
Yeah, we're nerds as well.
And I will say though, there are parts of me like I really do resist sleeping sometimes because I'm just so excited and I want to like get more in or like see more people or do more, right? So sometimes it's hard for me to like actually shut down and be like, all right, it's time to sleep, you know? But I do get the importance of it, especially now. I get it.
I'm the opposite. I'm like, I love my sleep. Please don't bother me. Thank you. It's my time. Good night.
I love that. Yes, everyone has their own style of sleep, of course, but you just reminded me of something more. One other tip I can give. If I can give a tip that's
absolutely, please,
every single night that has helped me and continues to help me, and I think it's going to be for life, is I visualize every single night before sleep. So sometimes I'm probably asleep in, I don't know, 5 minutes. Sometimes, you know, a little restless night, maybe 20 minutes, who knows even more. The point is, no matter how short it is, whether it's even a minute, visualize, like put beautiful thoughts into your head. You know, even I wouldn't make it like, my recommendation is like create a beautiful scenario. Like in the future, you know, like whatever it is with your goals, whether it's love, relationships, whether it's financial, you know, maybe you're on your yacht, maybe you're on your jet, or maybe you're at a family reunion, like paint that picture so clearly before sleep. As you're transitioning, your brain waves are going from like beta waves, alpha waves, theta waves. Your ability to manifest and create, your brain starts to not be able to tell the difference between real and imaginary. And then you start to rewrite your brain, and all of a sudden, all these can, again, be consistent every night. Try to do the same thing, you know, go to the same beautiful place, and you can manifest and create so quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Well said.
Yeah, the visualizing, man.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dave, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
On the world of Zoom and having this conversation. I find this so valuable, and I'm so happy that we got to have you with us today. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you, Rose. Look, we can do this for part 2 again, right?
Absolutely. There's a lot of
topic. I know what we're doing.
Oh, you know it. You already know it.
All right. So thanks so much. I guess we'll look forward to episode 2 with Dave Catudal.
For sure.
And of course, if there's any way that people are looking for you, we'll leave your contact and handles for them to reach out to you. So thank you so much for all your knowledge. We appreciate you.
Thank you. That was really fun. Thanks, girls. Take care.
Yeah, for sure. What an awesome conversation that was, huh?
Oh, I love deep conversations. Such intelligence coming out of conversations like that.
Oh, so good. And something that I heard in like one of Dave's tips with regards to like drinking the right water, it was really shocking to me. Not shocking, but it's like, you know, we all go out of our way to buy like expensive bottled water. It's not necessarily really doing us any good. And just like a sprinkle of Himalayan sea salt in our water every morning would actually make such a difference. So
such a difference.
Yeah,
Very simple.
really cool.
And a great habit to take on. I love his takeaway about, going within and really just questioning your thoughts and sitting with yourself, really doing the work for the subconsciousness, because that's where things will start to shift and change for your life and, your environment. So
yeah, it's like your environment is a result of your inner self.
Yeah.
So good.
Whatever's within is also without.
Yeah.
So take that on. Thank you for joining.
See you soon.
Bye.
You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up.